Titi was the epitome of beauty, grace, and intelligence. At just 17, she was in the final year of secondary school (SS3), dazzling as the star of a church choir. Her angelic voice and quiet confidence made her the admiration of many. Yet, Titi seemed uninterested in all the attention. That was until Oluwaseun, fondly called Olu, entered her life. Olu, at 19, was in his first year at university and came from a wealthy, prominent Lagos family. Although he lived in another city, he frequently visited his grandparents, active member of Titi's church. It was during one of these visits that Olu noticed Titi, and from that moment he was captivated. Determined to get to know her, Olu began attending every youth activity she participated in. He walked her home from choir practice and found every opportunity to talk with her about life and dreams. Initially, Titi saw him as nothing more than a friend, but over time, Olu's charm and sincerity melted her heart. One evening, as they strolled home together, Olu finally confessed. "Titi," he began nervously, "you are the most amazing person I've ever met. I I care about you more than just as a friend." Titi, though shy, admitted she felt the same way. From that moment, their bond deepened. By the time Titi started her A-levels and Olu entered his final year at university, their relationship was the talk of the church. Their families approved and eagerly anticipated their future together. But life threw them unexpected curveball. Olu received a scholarship to study abroad, a golden opportunity he could pass up. "I'll always love you, Titi," he promised as he held her hands. "This distance won't change that." Titi's heart ached, but she managed a smile. "I'll wait for you, Olu," she whispered. For years, they kept their love alive through letters, phone calls, and Olu's annual trips to Nigeria. But as time passed, cracks began to show. During one of Olu's visits, he seemed distant, cold, and preoccupied. Titi, confused and hurt, pressed him for answers. Finally, Olu broke the silence. "Titi," he said, avoiding her gaze, "my father doesn't think we should marry. He says your HND isn't good enough. He wants me to marry someone with a BSc." Titi was devastated. She had rejected countless suitors, holding on to the belief that Olu was her future. Yet, here he was, allowing his father's disapproval to dictate their love. Despite the tension, Olu couldn't fully let her go. He continued to visit, keeping her tied to a relationship with no clear direction. After years of emotional turmoil, Titi decided to take control of her life. She had met Deji, a kind, God-fearing man who was ready to marry her and love her unconditionally. But before moving forward, she needed closure with Olu. "Olu," she said firmly during one of their calls, "I've waited for you, sacrificed for you, but I can't keep living like this. I'm getting married." "What?" Olu exclaimed. "You're what? You can't be serious." his voice trembling. "You don't know. I'm your husband. You can't marry someone else." Titi's voice broke, but she stood her ground. "Olu, your father doesn't want me, and you've done nothing to fight for us. It's over. I'm moving on." On our wedding day, just as the pastor was about to lead the couple through their vows, Olu walked into the church. Titi froze. Her heart raced as her mind filled with dread. What if he says something? She thought. He can be so unpredictable. The congregation fell silent, all eyes on Olu as he strolled to the back of the church. But after a tense moment, he sat down quietly. The ceremony resumed, and Titi and Deji exchanged their vows. At the reception, Olu was the first guest to present a gift. On it was a chilling note. "Titi, I'm sorry. I won't give you to another. You belong to me." Titi's heart sank as she handed the gift to her best friend Fumi, who was standing nearby. A few days into their marriage, Deji received a call from an unknown number. "Were you not told that you are married to another man's wife?" the caller said. Deji chuckled. "Really? I'm the one who had the courage to ask for her hand in marriage and marry her properly. She's mine now. Thank you for stepping aside." He ended the call. That evening, they shared the incident with Titi, who was shocked. "Olu is unbelievable," she said. "I can't understand how he got your number, but please ignore him. He is still living in a dream." Deji nodded. "Don't worry, I won't let him get to me." A few days later, the couple decided to sort through their wedding gifts so they could send thank you notes to everyone. Laughter filled the room as they opened and admired the presents, jotting down names and kind messages. At the center of the pile was a particularly well-wrapped gift with a note attached. "Titi, I am sorry. I won't give you to another. You belong to me." Titi's stomach churned. She immediately recognized it as Olu's gift, the one she had meant to dispose but had forgotten to tell Fumi, a friend, to take away. "What is this?" Deji asked, holding up the note. Titi hesitated, her hands trembling. "It's Olu's," she finally admitted. "Let's just discard it." "No," Deji said firmly. "I want to know what's inside." Reluctantly, Titi unwrapped the gift, her hands shaking as her mind raced. My besties, what exactly is Olu's problem? Why wouldn't let Titi be? What's in the gift wrap? If you haven't subscribed to my channel, kindly subscribe please. If you like the stories I share and you would like to support me to grow, kindly buy me a super thanks. Thank you. Let's find out what exactly was in the gift wrap. Back to the story. As Titi sat in the gift room with her husband Deji, her hands trembled while she unwrapped a small package. Inside was a velvet box containing an exquisite engagement ring. Her heart raced as she read the attached note. "Titi, Please marry me. I love you, and you know it. Please forgive me. I don't know what to do. Don't deny me this pain I'm going through. I love you like I do. Tears rolled down Titi's face as she read the words. Memories of her past with Olu flooded her mind. His love for her had always been overwhelming, consuming, and persistent. You know, Olu's voice echoed in her memory. I've never felt this way about anyone else. I love you, Titi. Deji, who had been watching her closely, finally broke the silence. Titi, do you still love him? His voice was calm but firm. She couldn't answer. The truth sat heavy in her chest, threatening to escape. Deji sighed and moved closer. I can feel it. You haven't fully let him go. But Titi, he is now your past, not your future. We are married. Whatever feelings you're holding on to, you need to let them go. I didn't take you from him. You chose me, and we can walk through this together. But Olu needs to stay out of our lives. Titi nodded weakly as Deji continued. We are going to return this gift, and you need to cut all ties with him. No more gifts, no more conversations. Agreed? Yes, she whispered, though her heart felt conflicted. Weeks later, at the mall, Titi ran into Olu. She tried to avoid him, but he spotted her instantly. Titi, he said with a smile, you look as stunning as ever. Olu, please, she replied, already feeling the familiar pull of his presence. I told you before, Titi, you're mine. You always have been. No, Olu, she said, her voice firm, but her heart unsteady. You need to move on. Go back to Europe. Find someone else to love and let me live my life. I'm married now. Sure? Here is the continuation. No, Olu, she said, her voice firm but her heart unsteady. You need to move on. Go back to Europe. Find someone else to love and let me live my life. I'm married. Olu's face darkened. So you gave yourself to him. His voice was low but filled with pain. You're telling me you didn't even let me touch you when we were together, but you gave everything to him. Titi's temper fled. Olu, I don't owe you any explanation. This conversation ends now. If you don't leave me alone, I will make a scene right here. Olu's jaw tightened, but he smiled. Fine, Titi, but remember, I won't let you go. Titi went home that day, her mind swelling with emotions. She couldn't understand why her feelings for Olu were still so raw. Sitting in her room, she called her best friend Fumi and poured out her heart. Bestie, I'm so confused. I ran into Olu today and all the feelings from the past came rushing back. I don't know what's wrong with me. My husband is supportive, but I feel trapped by these emotions I thought I had buried. Fumi sighed. Titi, it's normal to feel this way sometimes, but you are married now. You have to make a conscious effort to let Olu go. Cut him out completely. Block his number. Avoid him. Do whatever it takes. If you don't, you risk ruining your marriage. You may even need counseling to help you process everything. Titi nodded. You're right, bestie. I just need to figure out how to deal with this before it destroys me. A year later, Titi gave birth to her first child, a beautiful baby boy. She thought she was finally free of Olu's shadow until one day her phone rang with an unknown number. Congratulations, the voice on the other end said. So you have had his child. When are you going to have mine? Before Titi could respond, the line went dead. She knew it was Olu. Panic set in as she realized he still had a hold on her life. Oh God, she whispered. When I think I'm free, he finds a way to show up again. Lord, please uproot whatever connection I still have to him from my heart. She didn't tell Deji about the call, hoping it would help her move on, but the guilt weighed heavily on her. 2 years later, Titi received an unexpected SMS from Olu. I found myself a wife. Titi, she's as beautiful as you, and I have told her about us. She would like to meet you someday. Relief washed over Titi as she read the message. Finally, it seemed Olu had moved on. She showed the message to Deji, who smiled. That's good, Deji said. I hope he's not married to another man's wife. Though, they both laughed, and for the first time, Titi felt a sense of closure. A few months later, she received an invitation to Olu's baby's naming ceremony. Since Olu's house was close to her mother-in-law's, as she saw in the address, she decided to stop by. At the naming ceremony, Olu introduced Titi to his wife, and Titi handed over a large gift for the baby. You're doing a wonderful job taking care of Olu and the baby, Titi said, trying to sound cheerful. His wife smiled. Thank you. I'm only doing my best. When it was time to leave, Olu offered to drop Titi off at her mother-in-law's house. She hesitated, but eventually agreed, thinking it was a short distance. As Olu drove out of his street, he pulled over. Titi, he began, his voice thick with emotion. Seeing you again today just reminded me of everything I lost. Why didn't you give me a second chance? You know I still love you. Titi stiffened. Olu, we've had this conversation before. We are both married now. Please let this go. But Olu leaned closer, his voice breaking. I can't let it go. You're the only woman I've ever truly loved. Titi tried to stay firm, but the emotions she had buried for years resurfaced before she could stop him. Olu kissed her. She resisted at first, but her resolve melted, and they crossed a line she thought she would never cross. When it was over, Titi sat in the car, trembling. Olu, what have you done? No, Titi, he said, looking at her intently. What have we done? This happened because you still love me, and I know it, and you know it also. Titi Titi's heart shattered. I can't believe this, Olu. This is wrong. I never did this when I was single. Now I am married. We are married. How could I let this happen? Like, seriously? How did they get there? What will Titi tell Deji, her husband? What will happen to our marriage? Let's find out in the next episode. Thank you for watching my story. If you enjoy the story I share and you would like to support me, kindly buy me a super thanks. And if you have not subscribed to my channel, what are you still waiting for? Please hit the subscribe button, like and share with your loved ones. I really appreciate your time spent on my channel. I do not take your support for granted until I come your way again with another interesting story. Bye for now.